What's up, everybody? We are back. John Della Rose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. Trying out different spots in the house because the last was so echoey. I don't know. I didn't like how the videos turned out. So we're trying it on my bedroom floor now, hoping that the carpet removes some of the echo. We'll see. And we've got Rise of the Sith, Volume 2, which we read Volume 1 just recently. So we have Star Wars number 0 through 3, Darth Maul 1 through 4, The Phantom Menace half. There was a half issue. The Wizard used to do these half issues where you'd send in coupons and get the half issues periodically in the 90s. Pretty entertaining. And 1 through 4, Episode 1, Anakin Skywalker. These are just solo adventure-y deals. And then material from Star Wars 4 through 6 and Star Wars Tales 3, 5, 7. So these are the little vignettes. We get Star Wars 0 through 3 and 4 through 6. I guess there were backup tales. They probably weren't in here. All right. So lots of different creators on this one. And whoops, we're getting a little bit. So this starts out with a motion comic that they condensed into these little panels. And I guess there was this online motion comic they did as number 0 to preview and promote their Star Wars comic. I really wish they would have made these panels like full pages, or maybe even sideways pages, maybe just depending on the layout here, just so you could read them a little better. I mean, it's tiny, and putting it on 2 pages was kind of lame. So sad way to start things out. This one starts out with this Conehead guy who's on the Jedi Council. I don't remember his name. They say it in here, and it's some weird alien name or something. But, a lot of these tales in Rise of the Sith feature the dudes who are sitting around on the Jedi Council in Episode 1 with their hands all folded and looking serious. And that's all they do. But this is his backstory. He's on his world. And in his world, they shun technology. And there's like 20 women to every man. This is obviously somebody's fantasy. So they live polygamous lives by nature. And there's basically a group of young folk who want to join the Republic, want technology, and they get riled up by an outsider who's kind of a terrorist. And this guy kind of wants to stave them off with this warning about the old ways. And it just goes on for a couple issues of that. Standard comic art. I don't mind this art. This I prefer just like the standard comic look. I think it flows a little better for reading. Done pretty well here. These are a Malastarian alien, and I think they got the detail of that pretty good. And eventually, his daughter gets kidnapped. There's a murderer out there. People are thinking he's connected to it, and he wants to vindicate himself. And he goes off planet to deal with his daughter. This is the guy rabble-rousing for joining the Republic and getting new stuff. And he goes off into space, as mentioned, and beats up all the bad guys and rescues people. And then they go, gee, golly, maybe you're right about these outsiders. I don't know. I kind of like it. So when outsiders come in and they change a society, and it's not always for the good, and that's an interesting message that I don't know that they could make that book today. But it worked out pretty well. Enjoyable read. Art was all right. Pacing was okay. Pretty solid. Then we get into the vignettes, and we have this one where it's some boy from Naboo who loves Padme, but she becomes queen, and he's kind of left in the dust, and that's that. Didn't really have too much impact. And then we have a Darth Maul backstory. Now, this one has some pretty decent art, and it's got one of my favorite comic writers, Ron Mars, on it. And I don't know if these guys were given directions not to really do too much, I'm going to guess. But basically, it's a big beat 'em up with Darth Maul just like kicking butt. And that is everything that happens in here. So really, really fast-paced read. You see there's lots of panels with 0 dialogue on it. Palpatine sends Darth Maul out to infiltrate a criminal organization known as the Black Sun, so they don't interfere with his projects as they're coming. They want him to remain secret as well, and so he just kind of slaughters everybody. Now, I love the Black Sun. I'm a big fan of the Shadows of the Empire book, which is a novel. And I believe they actually have a comic adaptation in the Epic Collections of it also. And so I'm happy to see them. There was no mention of Prince Shizor, who's kind of their leader in this. But it's nice to see an appearance of the old Black Sun. I guess Shizor would have been pretty young back then, so he probably wasn't in charge. And yeah, nice art all the way through this. You know, little gritty Darth Maul dude. And then they got some assassin gal who is a Sith sensitive lady. I guess she's some other sort of Sith who, you know, isn't quite Sithy enough. So Darth Maul takes her out in the course of this. Pretty good, enjoyable, and he just comes back, and that's that. So the next Jedi tale is a Gungan tale, and they all speak in the Misa Yusa Gungan Ganajai Jar Jar, and I could hardly get through this one. This was tough. You know, the colors on this are actually, you see how they kind of blend together. Not a very good colorist. But fortunately, it's a short tale, and it actually deals with Jar Jar and how he got exiled. Because if you remember, in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, he got exiled. And that brings us directly to The Phantom Menace. And it is literally The Phantom Menace. They did an adaptation. This is the best art out of probably either Rise of the Skywalker volume so far. I mean, it's just like they nail scene by scene the art as it kind of looked in the movies, and I just skimmed over this because I've watched this movie enough times, and I've seen enough Jedi negotiations, Master, you know, to be bored with this plot generally, but it is what it is. They did the black gutters on this one to make it feel more cinematic, I guess. And you get everything. You get the pod racing. I mean, it's a very loyal adaptation to it, so if you like the movie and want to experience it in a different format, there you go. But the art's pretty nice. Not a lot of action, but there wasn't a lot of action in the movie. I mean, there was a lot of sitting around and talking in this movie. They get good detail on Amidala, you know, which is the cool part, because she looked awesome. And, you know, all that, they all look like the actors. Congratulations. We get the Gungan battle here. And that is Episode 1. Enjoy. As far as adaptations go, they did very well here. So some weird coloring, 90s coloring problems with the shading at the end of it, you know. But all in all right. It worked out. And then we get a Anakin Skywalker. So these are prelude to Episode 1. I guess they were just trying to tie into the comic book and do one-shots along with it. Anakin Skywalker is a kid, and Watto sends him on a mission to go get something. It's actually pretty interesting stuff, and it ends up with him, meeting Padme and company at the end of it as he completes his mission, and he dreams of angels. Like his lame line in the movie. They kind of repeat that, throughout this as a theme, and then she shows up, and that leads to the line in the movie. Okay, so the next one, I think we're already into the next one, is Queen Amidala, which takes place in the middle of Episode 1, after she's shown up there. Basically, we've got the bet of the pod race going on, and there's like some battery that gets stolen by some weird small creatures. It turns out they're sentient, and they live in this like oasis in the middle of the desert that's having problems, and they get hunted down, and hijinks ensue, and Jar Jar and Padme bring it back. It was cute, and all right. The art on these, not quite as good as the Episode 1, but it's fine for what it is. Gungans look very weird from this artist, but what can you do? So then we get to Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon, the art's, that sort of realistic comic art, I guess. Little interesting coloring choices on this one. I feel like this just makes things feel flat when it gets this realistic, especially because all these talky scenes get kind of boring. But Qui-Gon then does his deal in the middle of things before he gets back to the ship, and makes it so that Watto is not likely to harm any other slaves or anything like that ever again. And then we get the half issue. So we take a break from all this, and we have the half issue, which is a very short vignette about Padme on the ship. And it kind of recounts a couple of things from Episode 1. And that's that. Very quick. And finally, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this probably gets the best art out of the single deals. Again, they just like they do a little too hard of trying to like match exactly what happened in the movies in these sometimes, and it's kind of boring to read when you've seen that image before. And this one is just Obi-Wan recounting episode 1 to the council, and then being like, "Can I train him?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so this was, while it had the best art of the group, probably it had the lamest story of the group, because it was just a backstory retelling of episode 1, which we already got the episode 1 comic. So womp womp. And then we've got some humorous material which they put at the end of things. They've got George R. Binks, and he's like a whaler, and he gets stranded on a desert island, with, I guess, Jar Jar's mom. Kind of weird. And then we get a cutesy little Anakin cartoon. These are cute. I didn't laugh out loud, but they were cute, so I can't complain too much about them. And then we get this was actually a really fun one. This was very cute. Yoda and Mace Windu are debating whether he should actually be trained, and they're out at a restaurant. You got Buzz Lightyear in the background, and I guess these are some other Disney references. And I guess that's George Lucas. Who else is in here? We got the Beatles. All right, very cute. And they settle it just based on kind of the events there, and of course Palpatine shows up and says, "Yeah, it'd be a great idea for you to do that." So cute. The humorous stuff was all right. That was the best out of the 3 of those. Overall, this volume was pretty quick, fast-paced. Obviously, episode 1 was in there, so I just kind of skimmed over that one because I've already seen that movie several times, and it seemed very, very faithful. I didn't notice anything in there that like gave me any extra depth to the movie or anything like that. But the stories in this overall were much better than the first volume, and seemed to have a better just character breadth than the first volume also. So enjoyable. Not my favorite, I guess, because this era of Star Wars is tough for me. But overall, I mean, I can't fault the stories inside here. They were pretty good on average, except for the ones I mentioned, as otherwise. And so I guess I give this a 7 out of 10. So definitely worth the read. And what's great is this one's not out of print like the first volume for some reason. So the first volume is crazy, crazy pricey online and very hard to find. This one a lot less so. You definitely don't need that first volume to read this volume. None of the stories really cross over. They just kind of add little depth to the Star Wars universe here and there. And this one does a little better job about that with that one character and with Darth Maul. So gotta say this one's a lot stronger of a volume. Cool. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will be back with more reviews. I've got a bunch of Epic Collections still to read. I'm going to try to go through all of them. I mean, I've got 150 Epic Collections, and how many videos have I done? I don't even know at this point. But I'm going to try to go through all of them as I read all of them, and hope you'll be along for the ride. So I will see you later.